Well Pro Production Sports Car Series heading out for qualifying now. You can check out all about them on www.pscraq.com.au. That's, of course, Production Sports Car Racing Association of Queensland. So, field heading out on the circle. We pick up the Mosler there, the Chevrolet V8 powered Mosler MT900 of Graham Lusty, fresh from a big run at Mount Panorama in the Production Sports Car 1 hour races. They had 2 1 hour races this year on Saturday and Sunday at the Bathurst Motor Festival. Last car out on track is Gavin Clay. We're now watching Jeff Fain, who has made a bit of a name for himself in motor racing this year. And rather a controversial splash at the Adelaide Grand Prix, but he's out here in his Dodge Viper this weekend. So this is Fain's third season in the Viper. He's still thoroughly enjoying it. I remember when he first got the car, he couldn't grin or tell us loudly enough how much he was enjoying the big V10 from Chrysler. Categories moved on a little bit here in Queensland in the last 5 years or so. Once upon a time, this was pretty much exclusively a Mazda MX-5 battle. But since then, we've added a whole bunch of Corvettes. We've got some Ginettas from the United Kingdom.
This is what I love this category for. Sorry, mate. I just love it because it's just so different.
Okay.
There is nothing like the noise of a Porsche. I don't care what anybody says. There is nothing like the Porsche chance of it. And when you hear them on a long run, that scream as they come through. Something like the chase at Bathurst and across the top of McPhillamy when they're up on right up the edge of the Revel. There's nothing like that noise, is it?
Yeah, we see one of the quicker of the Porsches on screen there at the moment, Darren Hennig, as he chases one of the Ginettas up the back straight. That'll be the car of actually, I'm not sure who that is. That might be a new competitor.
Not Berry. We got Berry's car in the 189 car. He's the one sitting in front of Hennig. So that's Berry's car, 189. Which is, and it's funny, I know Paul Bacini's been, I'm not sure whose car he's been offered the drive in, so he's really looking forward to getting behind the wheel of one of these Ginettas at some stage.
Yes, one of the older G40 Ginettas.
Jeez, it's not slow though, I can tell you.
No, well, it's a fairly decent power plant, 3.5 litre Ford V6 engine, what they call the Cyclone engine, powering a number of their mid to large size vehicles in Europe for the most part.
There's an eclectic group of cars that you're going from the extreme of having, say, the Mosler.
You go back 20 years ago and this class was pretty much all MGBs.
Yep.
But since then we've seen the coming of the Mazda MX-5, which rebooted the class, and there's been a whole bunch of new blood that's come into the new mechanical blood, if you like, that's come into the series. There's been stuff like BMWs. There's been a plethora of Porsches that have come from all points of the calendar.
Well, and not only that, we've seen the advent of a lot of turbocharged cars too. So that's obviously changing.
Jeff Fain's, sorry, not Jeff Fain. It's Graham Lusty, that is, in the Mosler, who seems to be in a little bit of strife out there on track, as we see Gavin Clay's white, green, and black MX-5 on screen, along with 2 later model silver MX-5s. One of those is Paul Ansell.
Well, just saying, as far as capacity is concerned, right, we go from the Jeff Fame's car,
yes,
to the 427 numbered and also powered car of
Stephen Annette's Corvette.
Stephen Annette's Corvette. So, then we go to the Mosler, of course. Then we got the Porsches. Then we go down to...
Well, you've left out Greg Quince's Corvette.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. And then we go down to engine capacity-wise, probably the smallest engine in the category, which is the MX-5s.
Apart from Michael Antonius Westfield Toyota, which is a 1.6.
Is it 1.6 or 2 litre?
It should be a 1.6.
Okay, if it's 1.6, it's probably the smallest car in the category. So I think there's one 1.6 MX5.
No, most of the MX5s will be 1.85 sort of.
Close enough too. Yeah. So interesting enough. Jeff Fain out there with the 113.4. You'd expect him to be that car. That of course is the ex car of Ian Palmer.
Indeed.
And it's and we make a joke about the Viper, that the fact that it comes up behind you and bites you. It's extremely fast and straight line. Jeff's been doing a lot of racing lately, but most of it overseas in the Trans Am categories over in the States, and also doing the job as the Cowie actually in the Mosler. He's done a couple of drives in the Mosler.
Yeah, they've got a pretty fair lineup these days in the extended Graham Lusty Trailers team. They've got 3 cars that run out of that team. They've also got the Nissan GDR and a Mazda MX-5. The Wallace father and son largely drive the MX-5. Roger Hill's been spending quite a bit of time in the Nissan GDR, including down at Bathurst 2 weeks ago.
I'll tell you the interesting thing for
6 days ago.
The interesting observation for me is how many MX-5s have been to the gym and gone on steroids. They're all getting big and muscular and flare guards and big wings on them nowadays. So really, some of them
had all their internals removed. They've been.
It started off a little while back, and I mean even Brian Ferriby got involved when he bought out, what was that car? What was it called? He used to Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankie, the turbo car, and then he developed that. I mean, but he started with the car that Ian Moyer built, which I was involved in building of, which came out with wing and flares and also and bigger wheels on it. But it seems to be that the packages they just handle better and better on tyres. They don't go much faster. Well, Jeff Fame's come in.
Okay, the Viper. He's slammed down a 13.4
and going back behind the wall. So he's done 3 laps. That's fast enough. He's out here yesterday practicing, so maybe that's all he needs to do.
Well, he's 2.8 seconds ahead of Darren Hennig's Porsche right at the moment.
Wayne Hennig out there as well. So both the Hennig boys out this weekend.
So we do.
Don't often see them together on the track.
Yeah,
to be honest, we don't.
No, we haven't seen Wayne for a while.
Now what's going on the Mosler? This is interesting because it's well and truly not at speed.
It's back up to speed now. He's still quite a few seconds away from the car's potential, but he's been warming the car up very gently.
We are less than maybe going through some handling issues. Keep in mind that it was involved in the accident at Bathurst a few weekends ago.
When we say a few weekends ago, it was 6 days.
Yeah, so innocently involved in it.
Graham was wandering into pit lane. He was in the pit entry lane when a Ferrari 458 lost control on the run down to Murray's Corner and decided to blunder across into pit entry and hit Jeff's car,
and then cleaned up the Ginetta, and then cleaned up the Ginetta all the way back out as well.
Yeah. One of the
actually the Ginetta's the only thing stopped it going heavily into the wall just before the start finish line, probably more likely. He was that Ferrari, but I suppose that's what you call getting Ferrari. That'll be a term now this week when you get hit by you get Ferrari'd.
You get fast.
Yes. Very much so. Well, let's see what
Paul Ansell and James Wallace just coming across the start-finish line together. We see the pickup Darren Bannery's Ginetta out on track.
Lusty's come well off the pace. It doesn't look happy in the handling department. Something's not right. So interesting enough.
It may be a legacy of the accident.
Very much so. In fact, it's really funny. I'm looking at Ansell's times too. That's a consistent time out of that car. So I'd be happy with that.
Oh, hello. Tony Ross has jumped up the order in the black MX-5. Well, the car's been circulating under its potential for most of the session, so it's good to see that Tony's got a lap time in outside the top 10.
It's going to be Prefontaine, Schloss, Toomer, and Ross that are going to put on the show in that category. They're the guys that are capable of in that area.
Bearing in mind, that's Ron Prefontaine, not John.
Yeah.
It's the Mazda lightweight MX-5, not the supercharged Lotus.
No. So that'll be the battle in the MX-5s. Those 4 there, those guys. 25 car Van Roden goes past. That's about. He's a good second, a bit off where he should be too. He should be at the back end of that battle. good to see Sloshy down here, fresh back from where'd they go? They were down south too, weren't they? Everybody's been down south. In fact, a lot of the Queensland competitors go to Wakefield Park in a few weekends' time too.
Okay. They've sort of only just been down there for, what was that? There was a race at Phillip Island.
Yeah. Of course, Sloshy well and truly involved with a Targa crew as well.
So there's a new competitor out there amongst the group as well. The red Mazda MX-5 of John Toomer.
Yep.
Now, be interested to, I don't think that's a Queensland car. I think that's an interstater, because we're only a month. We're only actually not even a month. It's only about 2, maybe 3 weeks until the Willowbank 300 production car enduro race that's going to be held here at
Is that lovely
Queensland Raceway.
We watch it go through turn number 1.
Darren Berry, yes.
Yeah, look, I don't care what anybody says, Jonesy. To me, that car is so reminiscent of early sports cars, like your 240Zs, like your E-Type Jags. The whole stance, the way the back end construct, I love it.
To me, it looks
especially
like
in the sports car racing back of the Paul Newman and in those days, back in the days.
To me, it looks like a 15, 20-year-old TVR.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I just love the body shape. But that's, I mean, we're getting all hysterical lately, and I don't know. You've definitely seen that footage of the Paul Newman footage about racing and some of some of that stuff in those sports car days, back in the Nissan Works days and stuff on the 240Zs, was just sensational sports car racing back in its day. Good field of cars.
We're looking now
there's
at
the Mosler.
Yeah.
And that just now.
Anglo-American car?
Well, isn't it funny that we, when we go back to the Mosler, that we talk about that car as a general rule of thumb. Like, it really is the best of both worlds. It's all of the V8 power you can get out of Chevrolet, matched to a fantastic European chassis. So,
yeah, well,
and just to make sure that you're thinking, you know, it's Corvette based. Let's throw the Corvette tail on the back.
The car started life. Well, Mosler in general started life as a road car, and which looked pretty much like this. But along the way, it sort of attracted the interest of the guys at Roll Center Racing, which were a Le Mans 24-hour team, and eventually the head of Roll Center Racing, whose name is slipping my mind at the moment, and I'll kick myself when I remember it, but he's taken over the company, and I think they moved the majority of their British production to the US.
Of course, this category brought to us by WellPro this weekend as well. Good to have those guys on board and bring us the action here at Queensland Raceway. So, interestingly enough, I'm just absolutely loving what we've got on track there at the moment. This is fantastic footage from the guys. Got a couple of new guys on camera this weekend, training some more staff. So we've got a really nice cross section of staff.
Yeah, the Mosler first was introduced to the Australian public at the old Bathurst 24-hour, because the factory Roll Center team brought one of their earlier Moslers out for a run.
Who was in that car that year?
See, that's the name of the guy who I can't remember.
Well, was that the one Craig Baird jumped in as well?
No.
Because effectively that was Tony's car, wasn't it? Quinny's car. Didn't Quinn own who owned the Mosler that?
This is a whole decade before Tony Quinn owned a Mosler.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, Tony Quinn's had one.
Yes, he has, and he destroyed it against the walls at Adelaide.
That's right. But that's a car Craig Baird drove.
Yes, but nothing to do with what I was talking
about. No, sorry.
The first introduced by the Roll Center team at the 2002 Bathurst 24-hour. And they came out again the following year with a different Mosler. And they ran top 10 both years, top 6 both years, if memory serves. I think the best was a 4th. I think a 4th and a 6th from the 2 races. So there certainly was a competitive car. So. And the car has been a source of some controversy in GT3 racing in Europe as to whether the car constitutes a genuine GT3 or not. And
Can you elaborate that on that, or because
Oh, not quickly because checkered flag is out, but
Yep.
a lot of people amongst because GT3 is a production-based category, it's been deemed that because Mosler have sold less than 100 road cars, that the car isn't really eligible for GT3 specifications because it doesn't have a volume road-going counterpart of any description. So that's the source behind the controversy, and also the fact that a lot of competitors view it as a thinly disguised open Le Mans car,
Yeah.
rather than a production sports car. So that's been the international source of controversy around this car. Not so much here in Australia. We're less concerned about such things here. But yeah, that's. But anyway, end of the session, Jeff Fain in the Dodge Viper has been comfortably the fastest, 2.2 seconds ahead of Darren Betty's Ford-engined Ginetta. Wayne Hennig, in fact the Hennig brothers, filled the second row of the grid. Wayne ahead of Darren. Stephen Annette's 7-litre Corvette starts at a position number 5, with the Mosler alongside of Graham Lusty. Michael Antonieff is best of these, shall we say, the smaller engine cars, although the Darren Berry's Ginetta is only a 3.5, but it's a Porsche size basically. But yeah.